let's go. All right. To start off this meeting, Ord has asked me to set up this meeting in order to see how we can push forward this issue. Make sure we are aligned how to push that forward. There is already a merge request, there's already an issue, but we're a little bit limited on like, hey, where are we at? I gave a quick quick comment. Throughout the discussion inside of the issue, I have repeatedly asked like, hey, this is how I see we solve this. This does require front end. Are we gonna be able to do this or not? And at some point, I think other issues took priority for all of us, which kind of left this one on its own for a little bit. And that's why we're currently here. So let's see if we can resolve that. Anybody else have any thoughts?
So far, so good.
You want to share the issue, Dimitri?
Everything is in the agenda document. So I
Okay.
I would love you to join the agenda document.
Okay.
So I would say, let me see. Will we touch both protected and protected branches UI? And as Etienne, as you requested in the issue as well, like in the issue or latest comments like, hey, I'd love to get a meeting scheduled to finalize the proposal. I would love to know from your perspective as to, hey, where are you unclear still at?
I just wanted to confirm with you what direction we're taking in terms of UX. I made a couple of proposals, like I posted the screenshots directly in the issue. And if we agree that we're going, for example, if I'm just gonna share the comment you posted about a month ago in the Zoom chat. So if we're taking it from here, I think I just want to define a starting point, because this issue, I feel like it went in so many different directions that that's why I feel like it's a good thing to have this meeting so that we can just agree what the starting point is going to be. And this this mock-up that you've made here, I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah. So I was
just gonna say this will define whether or not front end should be involved.
All right, let's back up a little bit in that case. I was still unclear on if we're going to touch both protected branches and protected environments UI or not.
Right. Yes.
Let's go to the initial problem to solve and see what the answer is. We wanted to solve this for protected branches. So why do we need to touch protected environments? Is the question, do we want to unprotect environments during deploy keys?
Give me a second. So like any backup here is welcome, Etienne, to help us get on the same context.
Yeah, I think protected. I think Orit has a good point. A protected environment was, as far as I remember, mentioned at some point during that, like in that issue thread. But yes, I think, and just like to be in line with the the smallest iteration possible, I think we should just stick with protected branches only at first, and then that's what this issue is about. It's just about protected branches initially. So even though protected environment may have been mentioned at some point during the issue on the issue threads, I think we should just stick on the protected branches, right? And just iterate on that for protected environment later on if there is a need.
So it comes back a little bit to me with what you said. Let's walk through the following scenario. Say we have implemented protected branches, like that part of UI is done. Deploy keys are now allowed to push to protected branch. Awesome, we're in a good spot. However, that protected branch also sets up a deployment towards some environment. However, that deploy key does not have any access towards that protected environment. What then happens? Like the protected branch is updated, but the deployment fails?
In terms of pipeline, I think Shinya said at some point, raised the point that if something is pushed to a protected branch with a deploy key, maybe the pipeline triggerer should be the owner of the key. So maybe there is, like, do you see what I mean? There is maybe a relationship between, there is a relationship between the deploy key and its owner, obviously. But using a deploy key to push onto a protected branch, that is going to trigger that is going to trigger a pipeline onto a protected environment, right? Maybe that should be made available, and that pipeline triggerer should be the deploy key owner. So I agree that it's we cannot do one without the other, for sure, right? But still, in terms of MR, I think we should just like focus on the protected branch, and then there should be another MR in terms of like creating that. I'm not quite sure where the line is between two MRs. There is definitely a relationship between protected branch and protected environment. But if we are setting up the rules about who triggers the pipeline on a protected environment, then I think we should be okay in terms of scope.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. So to validate my question, is like, say we have something set up that a deploy key pushes to a protected branch, then it depends on the configuration of deploying towards the protected environment, if that is possible, yes or no. Like, it doesn't need to depend on the deploy key in order to push towards the protected environment. Is that correct? Okay, because if that is the case,
to be confirmed, I need to get back to the actual feature to completely confirm what you're saying. I cannot fully confirm right now.
Yeah, because that was a little bit where I was stuck as well. Like, hey, if we're gonna push like this feature, but it does not generate user value, I mean, it is a little bit dependable, right? Like, hey, is there a use case for only pushing to protected branches, even though it, like, that does nothing, does no deploys, whatever, then we are already creating user value. But if that is not the case, and needing to use a deploy key to also push to a protected environment is part of that user value, or we have no user value, then I think we should consider that as part of the scope in order to close this issue, regardless if we can split up the merge request. Like, that is like a separate concern.
Yeah.
So to break it down, yes, I think we can focus only on protected branches for this merge request. If that closes the issue, yes or no, is a separate thing that we need a more solid answer on.
Yeah.
All right. Let me write that down.
But what's the problem if, given the same use case, what's the problem if I don't have permissions on the pipeline and the pipeline will eventually fail the deployment? Why is that a problem?
That's what we're asking. Like, is that a problem, yes or no?
If I don't have permissions, then I shouldn't, If I have
If you
permissions
have
to the
permissions.
branch, then I should be able to run it. And if I don't have permissions to deploy to a protected environment, then it should fail. I mean, I think that's okay.
Yeah, but you're using the deploy key, right? So it depends on like, hey, does the deploy key have enough permissions? Because that's what we're at. That's what we're giving. Are we giving the deploy key permission or not towards this protected branch, and or to this protected environment? And the environment, we're certainly scoping off the first merge request, but that's kind of like the is that a problem? Yes or no?
I can see that in the use case where it's not a protected environment, then everything should be fine and it should work, right? I need some acknowledgement.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm trying to.
If it's not a protected environment, it's a protected branch, and I have permissions to the protected branch, I have no problem to deploy to the unprotected environment, correct?
That's correct.
So for that use case, we solve the problem with the first MR.
Yeah.
So we have user value already. Now, if we want to extend that for protected environments as well, I think it's a separate issue. It's a new use case. And maybe the answer is let's wait for the demand before tackling that.
Yeah, I agree with Orit. Just the thing that needs to be confirmed is I actually don't know if there is a protected environment and we are only associating the deploy key to the protected branch. Will the pipeline? Will the pipeline?
Hear what you said.
Sorry.
Can you repeat what you said?
It cut off a bit.
Yes.
Yeah. The only thing that I don't know is the pipeline failing silently, or is it maybe it's not starting at all? I actually don't know the flow when we have like a protected branch and we associate a deploy key to it, and then deploy protected environment, and we don't do anything about that, and because we would need a second MR. In that case, I actually don't know what the output is. We don't have any pipeline being triggered, or we have a pipeline, but that fell silently on the deploy jobs. I actually don't know what the scenario is in this case. Maybe someone knows.
So I have no idea, to be honest. Anybody else? So Etienne, would it be a possibility for you to look into and record this scenario and then post it to the issue, so we have a recording of that exact thing? And I think it's useful for everyone to have a visual as to what we're exactly talking about.
Yeah, I will try. Let's say, how can I do that? Yeah, I will try to create a user that is not a maintainer. And I will assign this user, because we don't have we cannot test with deploy key, obviously the feature is not there yet. I will assign that user to be able to push to a deploy branch, but then not be able to deploy onto a protected environment. I think that should give us an idea, whether the pipeline fails silently or does not start at all, if that makes sense.
Is this after this, is the intention here to do that after this merge request has been merged?
No,
it's possible.
Just a bit of a scenario to validate what's happening. What's happening when we have when we allowing an entity, would be a user or deploy key. In our case here would be a user. If we are allowing an entity to deploy to push onto a protected branch, but not to associate this user, this entity, onto a protected environment, what happens, right? It's just to validate the scenario. I just want to know what happens, so that we know what scenario we're covering when it comes to when we work on that new MR.
Yes, sounds good. So so you mean instead of giving a deploy key permission, you're saying hey, we'll just select the user in this case specifically as the entity. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes fully sense.
Just a bit of scenario validation with a user. just so that we know what's going to happen with the deploy key later on.
As permission entity. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, that's done. So we'll get that posted to the issue as a video, and then for this merge request, let's get back to your point, which was, what action are we taking in terms of UX? The link you posted earlier, which links to the mockup I created for the protected branches UI. Let me see. I have suggestion to, for clarity consistency's sake, keep deploy key section. It's more like, where are we going to put the emphasis in terms of information hierarchy on? I suggest if we're going to make deploy keys that, new entity in the options for protected branches, let's make the deploy key the actual, the most important information there. But then I liked your suggestion of including a user who owns that deploy key. I think that's very valuable information. So the mockup kind of reflects that, as in how that would be shown based on your, it's an iteration upon your screenshot mockup, right?
Mm-hmm. Also, when we, something not to forget, when we redid the deploy keys documentation recently, we should be, our single source of truth when it comes to working on that issue. Shinya added, when a deploy key is used to push a commit that triggers a pipeline, the creator of the deploy key must have access to the CI/CD resources, like protected environment, secret variables, and so on. So I'm just gonna post the link to that bit that I just talked about in the Zoom chat. There. It's the second point of the second list. This is something I will try to validate when doing the scenario validation we talked about a couple of minutes ago, right? And then that's why I think, back to your point, I think it's important to show the owners in deploy key, because I think owners are going to be involved in, somehow in a way. I think it's important to just show owner in addition to the fingerprint.
My remaining question in that case would be, if the user does not, the deploy key owner does not have permissions or access to the project, right? So let me phrase it differently. The deploy key is given access to protected branch.
Yeah.
But the owner of the of the deploy key does not have access to that protected branch.
Yeah.
Is the deploy key then able to deploy to that protected branch or not?
To push to that protected branch. I
yes.
think so. Yes. The deploy key, yes, is my answer.
If the owner does not have permissions, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Because to me,
but they have access to the same project,
yeah.
That is.
Let me think about that. So yes, but I see two results, two outputs. So yes, the deploy. So we assign that deploy key belonging to that user that does not have the rights to push that to that protected branch. And so by doing so, the deploy key will be able to push to that protected branch. And should we implicit also give the right to the user to push to that protected branch, as a consequence, as a callback, right? We also grant access to the user.
I would say no, to be honest.
I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say no,
because this might open up security, right?
Yes.
For like, hey, an unintended deploy or something.
Yes, that's correct. And also that I would say no too. And that ties back to a conversation we had a while back about the fact that when we are not getting rid of a user, but like either deleting a user or like unassigning a user from a project, their deploy keys is becoming unavailable also, or we're not getting, we're either getting rid of the deploy keys or we're getting, my point is that there is like that relationship between deploy keys and user, and if the user is gone, the deploy key will be unavailable or like, unable to do anything, right? I feel like
I've read a lot of issues about that, and the current solution that GitLab suggests is creating, bots like service accounts, and not tying them to specific users. But users that want to save on seats don't want to do that. But that's still the suggestion from GitLab. Use service accounts if you want to have deploy keys not related to specific users.
As it takes up a seat count, that I would say that like just from a like, even though we know like on a business scale of finance, that is a small amount of money, but from an emotional perspective, I do not agree with that. Like I, as a user of like a business owner, on an emotional level, do not agree with that workaround at all.
It is what it is.
So can I ask really quickly, I don't want to interrupt this conversation because I know it's really important, but the front end issue was open and then reassigned to the create stage. And if you kind of go back in the history of this issue, it started in create, then hopped over the fence to progressive delivery. Darby took it on and scheduled it. So I'm a little hesitant to throw it back over the fence to the create team. So I don't know if that's something.
Yeah, originally we inherited all the deploy key issues, which is why Etienne has been very busy with deploy keys lately.
I'm aware.
So I just want to point out that
I'm not sure we should, yeah, I agree with you, Nicole.
Yeah, we either should take on the work on the front end or work really closely with the designer and PM on that side to get it scheduled and coordinated, because it's been waiting a long time.
Is there still, like, there is a merge request already existing, right? And it is this issue specifically. Is there a huge amount of scope left? And wasn't this initially part of our like milestone scope, which we've decided on? Or is this like a side issue that has been tackled as part of like PD, but also part of another stage where nobody knows exactly who's going to implement it? Like who's the DRI for this?
It looks like it started out with create and has now moved to progressive delivery. But when I tried to get the UI issue weighted, it looks like it was reassigned to the create team. So I just want to make sure, are we doing that work, or are we going to try to coordinate with the create folks?
I think we should do it end to end.
I agree with that. And I can have Andrew take a look if you're not comfortable with the work in view, Etienne.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. From a front-end point of view, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I can see, and based on Dimitri's comment and mockup, I don't think there is a lot of work that needs to be done. Maybe there is, yeah, I don't think there is a lot of work. I would be comfortable doing a bit of back-end work before involving front-end, so that I can, serve the data that front-end needs. But I don't think there is a lot of front-end work that needs to be done here. 1MR in terms of issue weight should be enough.
That sounds good. In that case, like, I think we are kind of clear how to move forward. So Etienne, you will be main DRI from both engineering for backend and frontend to push this forward.
Yeah.
With the occasional need for like backup from frontend, but nothing for now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can start off on my own, and then as soon as I need some front-end help, I will ping one of you and say, hey, need a bit of help here. Also, I have another question. You mentioned another MR that was linked to this issue. The only MR that I see that's open is the release blog post when I see the related merge requests section in this issue. Which MR were you referring to?
No, it is that merge request. Sorry, I've been
okay.
Like,
you
I saw a link to a merge request, like, there's a merge request. Oh, but actually it was the merge request that Orit linked me in. That was for the release blog post, because this is being written in tandem with releasing this issue, right, Orit?
Mm. So yeah, you just you were referring to the release blog post.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. What?
Oh, I was asking, is like in tandem with releasing this issue, will the release blog post be posted?
Yes. You can see it has the direction label on it. That usually means it's connected to release blog post.
I cannot keep up with this pace.
Sounds good.
All right.
So to re-summarize decisions, blog post is being pushed in tandem with releasing this feature. There will be a video posted by you, Etienne, on the little technical research that needs to be done.
Yeah.
That needs to be done. And then we move forward with proposal at, let me see, it's this. Etienne will take care of both FA and backend with optional FN support. And lastly, I want to confirm one thing. In terms of merge request scoping, everything will be included in one merge request, correct?
I cannot confirm this. I haven't thought this through yet. If someone else, if a front-end developer is coming in, there will be at least 2 MRs.
Even if you do the front end and back end work, at the end there'll probably be 2 MRs.
Yeah, in this I'm not even sure. Maybe it's either 1 or 2. Either 1 or 2. Yeah.
Let me rephrase in that case. Is the idea for them both to be like, both merge requests will be intended for the same release, right? And
this, yes, correct.
All right. Okay, and in the case that one merge request gets merged but the other not, because this is always like a little bit of the worry I have as UX. If we're only going to implement 1 or 2 of the merge requests of, say, for example, that a merge request has 3 merge requests, we're going to implement 2 and 1 doesn't make the cut. Is it going to be user facing, and are we going to like give a non-optimal experience towards the user? Yes or no?
No, it won't be user facing. If only 1 out of 2 is making it out, then it means that the second, which is triggering the user facing experience, won't be released.
Mm-hmm.
I'm keeping the user experience 1, the front end 1, for the for last. So the first one,
Awesome.
the first MR that will make it is everything that's like architecture related. That's why.
Sounds totally good to me. Thank you so much. It's always helpful to see that clarified.
Yeah.
Then I'm super in the clear. I'll give an update on the issue and update the description, and then we should be able to move forward with this. And let me see. are we clear on when this will be done? Like this is currently scheduled for 13.1. Will you work on that for this milestone? Is this going to be in this milestone, or is this like this needs to be rescheduled?
Considering we only have like 4 days left of actual work time, I'm going to say that it probably will slip to 13.2. Maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I feel like I still have a tiny bit of work that needs to be done 30.1. Plus making the scenario validation and all of this. No, that I don't see that making. I will start it. I may start it, but that won't be done as part of 13.1.
Okay, then I'll give an update on Orit and Chase, like for you to reschedule this to a certain milestone, so that we're clear that you know which milestone this is going to be delivered in, right?
Yeah. Yes.
To be done by Chase. Awesome. Thank you so much. We're fully in the clear here, and let's move forward as such. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.